Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Spring Game Eve. I am Kendall Smith, joined alongside of Wes Mitchell, here for another edition of the Recruiting Rundown. So we're going to go through the whole entire rundown in the recruiting world for Gamecock Football. Wes, before we get things started, how you doing? Are you ready for the spring game tomorrow?
I'm good. I'm very ready. I'm hopeful we're going to get some rosters here soon because I really want to see, Kendall, how this thing is going to split up.
Right.
And I think it's going to be pretty even from what I've heard as far as how they want to split it. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun for us. It's going to be fun for the fans as well.
So, Wes, the spring game, not only a big deal for the South Carolina football players that are currently in the program, but also a big deal in terms of recruiting. There are going to be quite a few recruits on campus this weekend at the game. So can you kind of run through a little list for everybody watching of who's going to be there?
Yeah, and I'll encourage everybody to go check out GamecockCentral.com. Obviously, it's much easier for them to read the entire list there. And, it's kind of fluid. We'll be updating it probably leading all the way up to the game. But I think if you look at the list, and certainly the guys we already have confirmed right now, Kendall, it is going to be, I would say, a pretty star-studded group of guys. Starting, I always like to start in-state. Xavier Mcleod, who's a kid that's been a high priority target for South Carolina for some time now, 4-star defensive lineman from Camden. He's expected on campus. Montague Rames, the 4-star defensive end from Sumter, he's expected on campus. You start to sort of branch out from the state of South Carolina. Some Georgia kids that are going to be in. TJ Searcy, who is a 4-star defensive end that is a priority target for them. Forward linebacker, that's a priority target. Christian Hamilton, 4-star wide receiver from North Carolina. The list goes on and on and on. Really, if people have been following recruiting with any level of intensity, then they're going to see a lot of names that they probably already know, a lot of names they've already been paying attention to. So that's always good when you are able to just constantly and continuously get these kids on your campus, familiar with your coaches, and in a position to where those relationships are continuing to build. Marquee Anderson is another 4-star kid from Dorman. He visited a couple of times last week, and he told me he's probably going to be at the game as well. So, that's something we'll be tracking, which of these guys actually make it in. But right now, it's a really nice list.
So let's talk about the importance of the before, during, and after of this spring game from a recruiting perspective. Because if South Carolina happens to perform well and they're doing great and the offense has a really good day and the fireworks are awesome after the game and it's just a ton of fun and a great weekend overall, obviously that helps your recruiting a lot. So heading into this weekend, how do you think Shane Beamer is kind of viewing that with, hey, not only is this important for our team to play well so that we can gel together and have that confidence going into the summer, but it's also important to impress these recruits as well?
It is. And, in that light, I saved one of the best for last. Dylan Lonergan, 4-star quarterback, class of 2023, major priority target for South Carolina. I think in terms of your especially your guys that are QBs, they're probably looking a bit at the on-the-field product. Like, what does this offense actually look like? What does Spencer Rattler look like? How do they structure the offense from a play calling standpoint? For most of the guys, Kendall, I think it's much more about just kind of the vibe, the atmosphere. How does that coach connect with you when you get those few minutes with him before the game? How are you connecting with the current players if you get to speak to them? It goes as far as like, how are you maybe vibing with some of the guys that are also being recruited by South Carolina that are considering, maybe I'm going to team up with this guy and play at the same place, So I think Saturday will be a success for South Carolina in recruiting yes, the on-the-field product is a little bit important, but for the most part, if those guys leave saying, man, I had a great time, I was continuing to build that relationship with the coaches, and I felt wanted by South Carolina. That's always the big one. Not that just, you don't just feel like an afterthought that you were there, but you feel like those coaches really were excited that you were on campus. So not really so much about the game for most of these guys. It's going to be about the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And earlier this week, recruiting was still going strong. So this weekend's obviously going to be big, but recruiting still happening earlier in the week. And South Carolina had a pretty big visit from quarterback Dante Reno. He is in the class of 2024. That is a huge target for South Carolina for the 2024 class. So do you have any updates, Wes, on how that visit went?
Yeah, I do. I talked to Dante earlier this week. The visit went outstanding. And, I think part of our job at Gamecock Central when we cover recruiting is to try to let fans know, hey, what are the names? Who are the names I need to remember? And who are the guys that are, maybe not really either they're not that interested or South Carolina's not that interested. I would say Dante Reno is a name to go ahead and circle, stamp it. Like it's one for you to remember. A lot of people have already heard of Jaden Bradford, the former Chapin kid, who is now at IMG. As far as 2024 quarterbacks, I would say those are the two guys we are tracking the most closely as far as being potential future Gamecocks. And, Bradford's already a 4-star guy. If you look at Dante's ranking on 3, it has not been put in there yet. Like he hasn't been evaluated yet, but Reno, in my opinion, is pretty easily a future 4-star guy. Like this is going to be a big time prospect, going to be a big time kid. And South Carolina loves him. That's kind of those are the two guys they've really been targeting. And he seemed to love the visit as well. He's taken 2 visits in the last 4 weeks or so. So he's really gone from having no familiarity with the program to having a ton of familiarity with the program. He is the son of a coach, the son of a college coach actually. And, I think has just connected really well with South Carolina and likes the plan they have for him, likes the upward mobility of the program, enjoyed meeting Spencer Rattler, Luke Doty. He gave some really good quotes, Kendall, if people haven't checked it out on Gamecock Central about even the different personalities between Spencer and then Luke, who's bouncing off the walls a little bit. So yeah, it was a great visit for him. He and his family will be back in June, and it's going to be a multi-day visit. So yeah, I think Dante Reno, that's a great quarterback name.
It is.
That almost guarantees success. But yeah, so Dante Reno, I got it. Name to know there for Gamecock fans.
Well, we are going to have all the updates on recruiting over on GamecockCentral.com. Wes and Chris do an awesome job with keeping everybody in the know on everything that is happening in recruiting. And Wes, I've got to ask before we get out of here, how many welcome home tweets do you think we're going to see over the next week? If you had to take a guess.
Oh, Kendall. Wow, put me on the spot. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go on a limb, and I have no information backing this, so y'all don't go tweet about it. This is just a guess. It's been a while since there's been a welcome home for the 2023 class. So I'm going to guess that within the next week, Carolina either gets a new one or maybe one gets revealed. Because there's already two silent ones out there. So Gamecock fans are still waiting on that. So just a hunch. That's not even information. But
I feel like whenever there's one, there's always another. So I'm going to go with 2. I have no information backing this either. But I think
they do sort of come in waves, right?
To kind of go together usually. So Beamer will tweet out 1, and then later on in the day, he's always like, "I'm not done yet," in all capitals, and then he'll tweet out another. Beamer has a very specific style of tweeting. It's his tweets. If you were to give me a tweet without his name and his @ on it, I would probably be able to tell you it's his because of the way that he formats the tweets. I don't know. It's very specific. But
so Kendall, you can pick out my Facebook Gamecock Central posts. Mm-hmm. You can blindly pick out Beamer tweet. You have an eye for the social media. But the giveaway is the space exclamation point.
Yes, it is.
And then with multiple exclamation points is especially a Beamer trademark.
And then he capitalizes random words in the sentence.
Yes.
So it'll be space, exclamation point, capitalizing random words in the sentence. And then he does usually a few return spaces in between each sentence. That's how I know it's a Shane Beamer tweet. 100%. It's great. It's awesome.
It's got its own style, doesn't it?
I commend him so much because he uses Twitter no problem. And I know a ton of people that are younger than him and his age who have no idea how to use Twitter. And I'm not calling Shane Beamer old by any means. He's obviously very young, especially for a coach. Very, very young. but it's impressive how he's taken to Twitter and been able to really utilize it to his advantage.
Well, these coaches help each other out. Beamer credited again Dawn Staley on the Feinbaum show. Did you see that? This is our recruiting show. I know we're going long here, but he basically said that he was just FaceTiming with a recruit earlier this week who was asking if they could go to the parade and how to get to the parade. And then he was talking about he couldn't name him by name, but he was clearly talking about Corey Rucker when he was talking about, hey, we had a recruit on campus, and all he could talk about was wanting to meet Dawn Staley. So he got to meet Dawn Staley. But let's throw this all together. Maybe Coach Beamer can help Coach Lamont Paris, who just started his Twitter account a couple of weeks ago, brand new to the Twitter world. Maybe, and that's not a shot at Lamont Paris, but he's a Twitter newbie. That's a brave new world out there hopping on the Bird app for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a time over there. Wes, I think that's going to do it for this edition of the Recruiting Rundown. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. As always, be sure to head over to GamecockCentral.com to stay up to date in the world of recruiting. We also have plenty of stuff out on social media at Gamecock Central. You can also follow Wes at Wes Mitchell GC. We appreciate you guys joining us. Have a good rest of your Friday, and we will see you back here soon. Bye, everybody.